Good afternoon. This is John Pyron, and I want to welcome everyone to our webinar. This webinar is so exciting. If you're a business owner, this is the place to be. And so before I get started, I want to share a quick story with you, and it's about a preacher who used to travel all over the Midwest in the late 1800s, and he would go from town to town, and he would throw up this big tent and give these amazing speeches. People would come from miles around to hear this guy talk. Finally, he comes to this one town, he throws up a tent and invites everybody to come out and hear him speak, and Sunday afternoon at 12 o'clock, no one was there. 12:05, no one was there. About 12:15, one lone cowboy comes riding down the street, hitches his horse to the stake there, and comes in and sits down in the front row. Preacher's beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. Jumps off stage, comes up to the cowboy and says, "Cowboy, cowboy, I don't know what happened. Normally, every town I go to, the place is absolutely packed. What should I do?" Cowboy says, "You know what?" Shrugs his shoulders, says, "You know what? I don't know. I'm just a cowboy. But I'll tell you this. If I went out to feed my herd and only one showed up, I'd feed it." Preacher says, "You know what? You're absolutely right." Hops back up on stage, and for the next hour and a half gives one of the best speeches he's ever given in his entire life. Sweat dripping down, breathing heavily, he comes off stage and he goes, "Cowboy, cowboy, what did you think, man? Wasn't that awesome?" Cowboy says, "You know what? I have no idea, man. I'm just a cowboy. But I tell you this, if I went out to feed my herd and only one showed up, I would feed it, but I sure the heck wouldn't dump the whole load on it." And so today I'm not going to dump the whole load on you. What I am going to talk about today is a couple of very specific things. Let me get this, there we go. Number one is we're going to talk about the mindset that is needed to build a huge business. And so no matter where you're at in business, we're going to expand that mindset on today's call. Because unless you have $1 million business going right now where you're producing at least 35 to 40% to your bottom line, I want you to pay attention because I'm going to be shifting your mindset towards that thinking on today's webinar. Next, we're going to talk about some systems that you need to have in place in order to build a $1 million company. Now, I don't want to discourage you. Maybe you're on this call. Maybe you have no desire to build your company to a point where it's doing $1 million a year in annual revenues. And that's totally fine. Just where I'm coming from my standpoint, that's what I've done. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about doing going forward is taking the existing company that I'm building that to $1 million, locking arms with other people in a mastermind setting to help them build their businesses to whatever heights they want to build it to. And so if that's you, if you're on this call and you're saying to yourself, "Hey, you know what? I really want to explode and expand my business," this call is definitely for you. Lastly, we all can't get there by ourselves, and so we're going to talk about building a team and having the right people on the bus, having the right people in place, having the right people doing the right things at the right time to make sure that we're getting the results that we're looking for as a business. Now, before I go into all the details of how we're going to do that, let me share with you a little bit about my background for those of you that have never heard me speak before, either on this live call or on the recording. I was born at a very early age in a little small town called Dallas, Texas. In the early 80s, my mom moved us to Oakland, California. And what's interesting about my background is my mother was a waitress. My dad was a tow truck driver. I did not come from a family of business owners. But what ended up happening by moving to California, and sometimes we come across experiences that we get that opportunity on a very thin line. And so I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 12 and a half years old, and I was introduced to a guy named Gary. And Gary owned several auto parts stores. And he happened to own the one that I went to work for that summer, sweeping the back room and sweeping the parking lot. And Gary, like me, came from a very poor home. And Gary was my very first mentor. And he took me under his wing and he started talking things into my ear about, you know what, it really doesn't matter where you've come from, John. It only matters where you're going. And ultimately, in this country, you want to own your own business, John, and there's nothing getting in your way of doing that. And he was talking to me like this when I was 12 and a half. And it gave me my first desire, my first hope. Because, see, I always thought I was going to work in the trades until the day I died. I just assumed that, hey, you know what, that's the family I grew up in, and that's my background, and I expected nothing different. And it was because of the mentorship of Gary, it was because of the association with Gary that my mind got expanded, and I realized that, you know what, in this country, we can make a decision at any time and completely change the direction of our future. And so Gary had preached me. I worked for Gary up until I was 18 years old, prior to going into the military. And right out of the military, I came to Sacramento to go to technical school and discovered I did not want to be a technician after I spent all that time in technical school. And I ended up meeting this guy, a guy named Dave Vanny. And Dave Vanny at the time was a multi-millionaire. He built a huge network marketing business. And we're not talking about joining a network marketing company today, by the way. But at the time, Dave was a multi-millionaire. And he was a business owner, and he took me under his wing. I met him in October of 1990. And it was almost like meeting Gary all over again. He started telling me about, hey, you know what? It really doesn't matter where you've come from. It's all about owning your own business. By owning your own business, you can determine your own cash flow. You can determine your future. You can literally give yourself a raise anytime you want. And he started mentoring me and coaching me, and he encouraged me. He says, you know what? You need to sharpen up your sales skills, and I'll coach you on selling, but you need to go get a job so you can actually practice those skills and get the reps in to where you can master those skills. And so that's what I did with my very first job. Went to work there, and Dave was my mentor and coach, and came on board. They were $500,000 a year, and they wanted to grow to $1 million. And ultimately, I helped them grow that company from $500,000 a year into over $6.5 million a year. And they're still in business today. In fact, the very same sales team that I hired and staffed and trained and created the processes are still in existence today. And then from there, he says, you know what? You need to know how to do operations, John. You need to know how to cold call. You need to know how to build something from scratch. And so I went and worked for this other startup company and ultimately did that for them. And at the end of the day, I was ready. I was ready to start my own company because I had learned all aspects of building a business except for one. And it was about mindset. I did not have the comfort zone to be able to go work for myself and not have a guaranteed paycheck. And I remember going against what Dave was coaching me on and going to work for another company where I created all my own comp plan. And I remember sitting in Mitch's office on December 16th, 2005, and we were arguing about my check being $4,500 short. And I remember Mitch reaching across the desk and looking at me in the eye and says, you know what, John, I understand your point, but you and I have a difference of opinion about how sales reps should be paid. And I looked at Mitch in the eye and I said, you know what, Mitch, you're absolutely right. And it was that point, it was that moment in time that my mindset shifted and I was no longer concerned about where the next paycheck was going to come from. And that gave me the last ingredient I needed to start my own company. And that's when I hired my first business coach, a guy named Mike. And I told Mike formed a company for me in 2 weeks. I launched a company on January 6, 2006, a company called Intelligent Business Network Solutions. And I borrowed $10,000 from my mother-in-law. I was pissed off because I didn't want to go back to work for somebody, but I was scared to death because I had no idea where the money was going to come from. But Dave had prepared me for that one moment in time. How about you? What has led you to the point? Do you remember what led you to start your own company? Some of us start companies because our ex-employers screw us over and we've had enough. Others, it's a big dream. Others, it's just you know nothing else and you've always owned your own business. Whatever it is, it's got to be something that motivates you. And it was through Dave's coaching, it was through Mike's coaching, it was literally 2 months into that business, I realized, you know what, I was very weak on accounting, and I joined a mastermind group. And in that mastermind group, there were 8 other business owners from all different kinds of businesses. And I learned accounting, I learned debits and credits, I learned finance, I learned tax, I learned structure, I learned all kinds of aspects to running a business, because until you actually do it, you can read about it all you want. You can work for another employer all you want. But until you have a payroll that you're responsible for, that's a whole different stress level, a whole different mindset. And I remember it was because of that coaching, it was because of that mastermind group, we were able to build that company from a $10,000 loan to a $352,000 company the first year. And then the second year, we took it to $685,000. And then the third year, we took it to $1,037,000. And the Sacramento Business Journal did a center page article on me and my company because this was our second year that we did it in a row. And so if you look there, 63.9%, $1.03 million in revenue, did it with 6 employees. Now what was interesting is this. What was going on in 2007, 8, and 9? That's right, the economy went off the cliff. But yet we grew dramatically. How did we do that? It was very easy. I joined a mastermind group. I hired the best coaches. I probably paid anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 a year in one-on-one coaching and mastermind groups. And you know what? It was the best use of money that I had ever spent in my entire life. Why? Because it taught me how to build a business to $1 million and to do it over and over and over again. The next year, we did $1,017,000. The next year, we did $1,041,000. We were able to sustain that growth because I was able to join a whole different mastermind group that was exclusive to $1 million business owners and above. And I'll get into what that is here in a minute. But it was because of the coaches, it was because of the mentors, it was because of the mastermind group and being around other business owners and fulfilling the one need that we all have as business owners. Because see, there's nobody we have the answer to. Who else are we going to go bounce ideas off of? You know, who else are we going to go out there and share the frustrations that we go through as business owners, the fear that we face from time to time about, am I going to be able to make payroll, am I not? You know, what do we do with this challenge? What do we do with that challenge? I got to tell you, man, if you're not a part of the mastermind group, you're on the right call, because this one is going to be very, very exclusive, and we're going to grow very dramatically. And so about 1.5 years ago, I met this guy named Eric Lawful. Hired him as my sales coach, joined his team of trainers. And now I've had the privilege of coaching and training hundreds of people all over the globe in sales systems and process. And one of the things that it was the one missing ingredient in the business I had at the time. I'd built the company to a point where it was sustaining $1 million, but I didn't have certain sales systems in place that allowed me to sell that company. And it was because of this guy's coaching. It was because this guy taught me how to build sales systems and sales scripts and be able to package my business in such a way to where it was attractive to an investor, that I was able to sell that company for 4.5 times its valuation in June of last year. But that's me. What about you? Is your business in a place where you can sell it? Is your business in a place to where it runs without you? Or do you have to be there every single day? See, when I sold my company in June of 2013, the only reason CC&S bought it for that type of valuation was because it didn't require my presence to be there. I was spending probably 5 hours a week maintaining that business because I had other people, other systems, other things in place to run it. And that's what we're going to be talking about in that mastermind group. That's what we're going to be talking about on the rest of this call, is how to do that. And so now I formed this company, John Pyron Coaching. And I originally set out to form this company to train salespeople. But what I've discovered is everyone starts out with me on a sales training level, but ultimately I end up coaching them on their business. And so I have several clients all over the United States that I spend a lot of time coaching them on their businesses and helping them build companies. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to do exactly what I've always done. I'm going to create a mastermind group of highly successful business owners, of people that really want to succeed and grow their businesses. Not only am I going to build my own business, but I'm going to help them build their business too. And so if you've always wanted to double, triple, quadruple your business and have it be sustainable, you're definitely on the right call. And so I have two outcomes for our call today. Number one is I'm going to share some ideas on this call that you're going to be able to use immediately. Not next week, not if you join our group, but you're going to be able to walk away from this call today with some ideas that you can immediately implement in your business right away. Because anytime I talk, I have one rule of thumb. I have to deliver value that you can immediately use. And if you take that one principle, that one aspect, and you apply it to your business, you say, okay, anytime I have any interaction with a prospect or a client, I'm going to leave them with something of value that they're going to be better at whether they do business with me or not. If you take that one principle and you apply it to your business right now, you'll be amazed at how many more clients you're going to be able to get as a result. Number two is I'm going to share with you all the details about our mastermind group. Now, we might most likely probably are going to fill that group up this week, or maybe it's next week. It doesn't really matter when, but this group will get filled, and it's going to be a very long-term group, and every single person that's a part of that group is going to see their business double, triple, and quadruple over the next 2 to 5 years. Now, let's dive into the content. There's basically 3 ways to elevate your business results. Number one is the inner game, which is the mental aspect about being a business owner. How do you handle stress? How do you handle difficult situations? Do you have other people that you can go to in times of a challenge? Do you have other people that you can bounce ideas off of when, quote unquote, the crap hits the fan? We're going to talk about that. Number two is we're going to talk about the outer game. Another way to increase your results is to deal with the outer game. These would be your systems. These would be how do you evaluate your inventory? Are you familiar with cost structures and how you can go about doing certain things in the area of what you pay for goods and services, and how you can tweak that to the point where maybe you can gain another 5, 10, 15, 20% to your bottom line just by making sure that you're structured properly as far as costs. We're going to talk about systems like that. Lastly, we're going to talk about taking action, taking massive action as a business owner. How do you get yourself to a point where you take action every single day? And it all comes down to making sure your business is going after what it is that you want that business to stand for. See, if you got a mission statement, a vision statement, something that you absolutely believe in, and you have it dialed in, and you know exactly how to get there, and you have a mastermind group and a coach that can help you get there, your business becomes a whole lot more exciting, because now it's not the same thing every day. It's a constant growth, and you can definitely see changes in your life going forward. We're going to talk about how to get yourself to play at that high of an action level on a consistent basis, but more importantly, how to get your team to play at a very high level on a consistent basis as well. So let's talk about the inner game. And we can't talk about the inner game without talking about mindset and what makes someone great. And one of the mindsets of a champion is that there's always room to grow. How many of you on this webinar agree with that statement? And if I could see you, probably whenever I ask that question in a group setting, every hand goes up. Let me ask you a different question. How many of you believe that you have potential inside of you right now to perform at a higher level than the level you're currently performing at? Let me ask it a different way. How many of you believe that you have members of your team, your employees? How many of you believe that you have employees right now that have potential to perform at a higher level than they're currently performing at? See, every single one of us will raise our hand to that question because there's always room to grow. And one of my favorite stories around mindset is about the great Michael Jordan. And one of the things that made Michael Jordan so great wasn't the fact that he was born an exceptionally talented athlete. I mean, you have to be a great athlete in order to even play in the NBA. But what made Michael Jordan so great was his constant desire to always wanting to get better. One of the true stories about Michael Jordan was every single summer, every single off season, he would hire certain coaches. He would invest in certain training. And he would focus on one aspect of his game. And so one summer he would focus on nothing but the left hand. And that's all he would do the entire summer would be focusing on the left hand. The next summer he'd hire a whole different set of coaches, maybe join a different mastermind club. And all he would do is focus on his strength training. And it was that discipline, it was that focus that made Michael Jordan great. But that's Michael Jordan. What about you and I? What is the one thing in our business that if we had help on, if we had 7 other business owners put their brain on, what is one thing that we would really love to improve in our business? What is one thing that if we focused an entire season on making better, would produce more profit, would produce a better result for our customers? Because I don't know about you, I got in business to make a profit. I didn't get in business to hire a bunch of employees and to have, big office or any of that stuff. I got in business, like most business owners I know, to make money. And there's a way to make money and help lift a ton of other people up in the process. And so we want to build profitable businesses that people want to work at. So what's your one thing? Write that down. Send me an email. In the subject line, say, John, I got my one. And if you do that, I'll give you some resources and tools that you can immediately use to get more laser focused on that one. Let me talk to you about HTG 08. HTG stands for Heartland Technology Group. 08 stands for we were group number 8. One of the things that I had the privilege of being able to do is once I built the company to $1 million, there's an exclusive club out there that's made up of 24 groups all around the world, and each group has 12 CEOs from different companies strategically located around the world. The minimum requirement is you have to have $1 million company. In our group, the highest business in there had $19 million a year. The lowest business had $20,000 less per year than what I was producing. Our average group was $6.5 million in that group. The only reason I'm sharing this with you is it's one of those things where I learned a tremendous amount about structure. I learned a tremendous amount about profitability. I learned a tremendous amount that helped me build my company to a point where it was sustainable and profitable without me. And one of the things we're going to be doing in this mastermind group is we're going to be creating that kind of culture of accountability, of expertise, of mindset that not only allow each one of us to build profitable and sustainable businesses, but businesses that will last and be here long term, whether we're here or not. We share with you a testimonial from a client of mine, Green Valley Lawn Care. Green Valley Lawn Care came to me for a sales challenge. Very quickly, we switched from a sales focus to a business focus. And there's various aspects of owning a corporation, of running a business. There's all kinds of moving parts when you have as many employees as this company has. And there were lots of exposure, lots of liable exposure there. And by working with me, by me coaching them one-on-one, we were able to create a more sustainable structure and a more profitable structure and saw revenue increases into the double digits. And we have systems in place that run that business, and ultimately we'll be in a position to where that business runs with or without the owner. And these are the types of businesses we're going to be creating in our mastermind group. Let's talk about the outer game. And this would be our systems. What do we have in place right now from a system standpoint? This would be our database, our time management systems, our goal setting systems, our accounting systems, our technology infrastructure. How do we hire and fire employees? What's our human resource structure like? Are we exposed? Because see, one of the things I learned the hard way, when you start making a lot of money and you start building a big company, there's a lot of lions out there, there's a lot of sharks out there that want a piece of your company. I remember I had an employee one time, and thank God I had taken the advice of my mastermind group and gotten the right types of insurance. Because this particular employee ended up making a few mistakes on a client, and it cost that company a bunch of revenues. And even though I had the proper agreements in place, we still got sued for $150,000. Fortunately, I had the right types of insurance in place. And as a result, the whole thing cost me $1,000. The insurance company ended up paying out an $85,000 settlement. Had I not had those things in place, had I not had the proper corporate structure in place and the proper meeting minutes and the proper documentation in place, they could have pierced the corporate veil that I had in place, came after me personally, and I would have lost a ton. Are you currently set up properly? You may have a corporate structure in place. You may have a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC. But without the proper formalities and certain things going on, you're still personally liable. And so in our group, we're going to be covering those types of systems. And so let's talk about one of my favorite strategies, which is called baseline strategy. Everybody on this webinar has a baseline in terms of the results that you're currently producing. One of the ways we all, as business owners, measure results is in terms of one of two things, either gross profit or net profit. For me, I like to focus on gross profit because my goal for net profit is to have it be as close to zero as I possibly can get it legally so I don't get killed in taxes. but I can control my gross profit numbers. So let's just say as a business, let's be conservative, let's just say as a business you're doing $100,000 a year in gross profit, which means depending on the type of business, you're probably doing anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 a year in annual revenues. And so that would be your baseline, would be the $100,000. Your baseline is also every single thing that you currently do to hit the $100,000. The time management systems, the organizational systems, the infrastructure, the cost structure. It's everything. The strategy is this: continue to do what you've been doing because it's producing a positive result. And then through some coaching, through being a part of a mastermind club. See, whether you're a part of this mastermind club or some other mastermind club, you're going to walk away from this call knowing one thing. You will get to your dreams and goals a whole lot quicker and a whole lot faster by being part of a mastermind group. And so the strategy is to continue to do what you've been doing because it's producing a result, and then either adding something that you're not doing to your baseline, or maybe modifying, or maybe even subtracting something from your baseline. I'll give you an example. One of my clients out of Houston, Texas, a company called Kobe, came to me about 1.5 years ago. Started coaching him in sales. Ultimately, again, he discovered my business background. So for the past year, I've been coaching him on his business side. Took him where he was on his baseline. The immediate thing that we focused on was, you know what, let's look at cost of goods sold. Let's continue to produce the revenues that we're producing, but let's focus on lowering our cost of goods sold so we can have more gross profit. And through modifying certain things in his baseline, we were able to increase his gross profit by 21.5%. The other thing that we did is we looked at the SG&A. So for those of you that are not familiar with a profit and loss statement, sales, general expenses, and administrative expenses, not including taxes and depreciation. We were able to focus on his SG&A and squeeze out another 12.5% there. And so we had this awesome, 20-something plus net profit swing in his favor without having to bring on more customers. And it's those types of things that we're going to be looking at immediately that most business owners don't have time to look at. See, we all have time to work in our business. We all have time to grow our businesses, but not a lot of us have time to work on our business. And one of the biggest benefits of being a part of the mastermind group is it forces us as business owners to actually work on our business. And it's the most valuable use of our time as business owners. Finally, taking action. And actually, let me back up. What is one thing? See, our brains are designed to answer any question that we ask it. What is one thing that you could add to your baseline right now that you're not currently doing, that if you did start doing with some help of coaching or a mastermind group, you would be able to get a better result? Or let me ask it a better way. If you were able to evaluate your cost structures in such a way to where you were able to swing another 10 to 15, maybe 20% additional net profit, what is the one area that you would focus on? Write that down. Commit to focus on that area. Let's talk about taking action. And one of the things that I want to teach you is an exercise called the what level exercise. And this one exercise, if you take this and make this a part of your culture within your organization from the top down, you're going to see a huge increase in productivity. And as a business owner, productivity equals money. See, a lot of people don't understand that. You know what? An employee, we pay them, if they're a full-time employee, we pay them for 40 hours of work. And if you live in California, it's a whole different country here. We have a whole different way of dealing with employees in California than anywhere else in the country. It's a whole different country here. Okay? But let's just talk 40-hour work week. Industry average is 75% utilization, meaning out of the 40 hours, we can expect as a business owner employees to be productive 75% of the time. If we can get 75% out of them, if we can get 30 hours of work out of them, we're actually profitable. I'm going to teach you, and what I want to focus on in this group is getting to 85% utilization and having employees be even happier about doing it. That's going to make our businesses more profitable, more productive without us having to increase overhead, which eats up our profit. And so by doing that, we got to teach them the what level exercise, and it goes like this. If you and I were in a group, right, in a one-on-one physical meeting, I would ask you, good afternoon. And I would want you to respond back at the same tonality, the same energy level, good afternoon. And we're going to call that a level 6. And so I'd say, good afternoon. You would say, good afternoon. I would say, great job. Clap my hands. Did a great job. Let's play with a little bit more energy, a little bit more enthusiasm. Let's play to level 8. And I would make sure you had the instruction. I would say, good afternoon, a little bit louder, right? And you would say, good afternoon, John. And I would say, you know what? That's fantastic. Let's play full out, full energy, full enthusiasm. Give it everything that you got. And let's play to level 10. And then I would say, good afternoon, everybody. And the whole room would go crazy. Happens every time. And then finally, after everybody claps and they sit down, I would ask this question. I would say to them, and I'm going to say it to you, over the last 30 days, as you've been a business owner, as you've been showing up to your business on a daily basis, what level have you been playing at? And in your opinion, over the last 30 days, as your employees have been showing up on a daily basis, what level have they been playing at? And be honest with yourself. Part of being a business owner is being honest about where you're really at. And that's the other thing about our group is it's going to be a very safe place for you to be transparent and be honest. Because the more honest you are in a mastermind group, the more help you can get. And the nice thing about the what level exercise, it applies to every single aspect of our lives. If you're married, over the last 30 days, what level have you been playing at in terms of the relationship with your spouse? See, I've always played at a high level when it comes to work and business. But one of the things I realized is I asked that question in a group one day, and I was immediately convicted when I said, hey, what level have you been playing at in terms of the relationship with your spouse? And I was immediately convicted that I was probably playing at a level 2. And thank God I had some other mentors and some other coaches that I can go and share that with. And so I can honestly say that if you ask my wife today, she'd probably tell you I'm playing at a level 8. Was it something I did? No, it was because I got the mentoring, the coaching, what I needed to play at a higher level. What would it be like? What would your business be like if people were playing at a high level all the time and they wanted to do that? How much more would you be able to get done? How more excited would you be about your business? You see, to get yourself to play at a high level, you got to get yourself to do 2 things. Number 1 is expand your comfort zones. Number 2, take on some new action, do some new actions. And one of the actions that every one of you have to take today is you can join our mastermind group. In this beginning group, we're going to call it the Founders Group. because I have a vision over the next 30 years. We're going to have 25 of these groups worldwide. And so whether you join our group today or not, we're going to grow this to 25 groups worldwide. You have an opportunity to be a part of a founders group. And I'm going to get into what's required to be a part of this group here in just a second. We're going to limit it to 7 businesses, not including myself. So I will make number 8 in this founding group. So you think about it. What's the benefit of being a part of a group of 7 other business owners besides yourself? Well, number 1, you're going to have exclusive membership with 7 other business owners. It's almost like having your own board of directors. You're going to have 7 other people that are going to be able to put their brain on your business. I can't tell you how much money this has saved me as a business owner. Making sure I had the right insurances in place, making sure I understood what that was, making sure I had the right accounting in place, the right tax strategies in place, the right infrastructure in place, making sure that certain decisions got made and done and that there was accountability. Having that type of membership with 7 other business owners, that everything we shared in the group was confidential, and that we all had one focus, and that is we were part of a group that was designed for growth. And that's the other part of being a part of this group is if your focus is on growing your business, this group could definitely be one for you. Because one of the requirements to be a part of this group is going to be that you have to be able to want to grow your business. And you will grow your business by being a part of this group. Now, what's the cost? $6,000 for 6 months. But I have an irresistible offer for today's webinar. But even if I didn't have an irresistible offer, I borrowed $10,000 from my mother-in-law to build a business. I didn't give a rip what it was going to take to make it happen. I was going to succeed. And that's the type of mental attitude we're looking for people that want to be a part of this group, is you're willing to do what it takes to make your business work. And I promise you, if you have that attitude, you will succeed. Now, what's included in the mastermind group? Number 1 is you're going to have a mastermind team. So on a regular basis, you're going to have exclusive time where the entire group is going to be focused on your business. It's not like we're bringing in consultants from the outside, right? It's 7 other business owners who are building businesses, who have payrolls, who have responsibilities, who have every single aspect of business that you're going through. You're going to have those types of people putting their mind on your business to help you grow and be more profitable. Because as we all grow and are profitable, a rising tide raises all ships. How are we going to do that? We're going to do a monthly virtual meeting. We'll use Google Hangout, GoToMeeting, whatever it takes for us to connect at minimum on a monthly basis, to where we can update each other on our businesses. What's going on? Where we need help? And there'll be a level of accountability through that. Next, we're going to have a private member Facebook group, which is going to be exclusive to our group only. Nobody else. It'll be a secret private group. You won't even be able to access it unless you're invited. And that's where we're going to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and share stuff about what each other's going through and be able to leverage everyone else's mindset for our business. Next is one-on-one coaching. One of my very unique gifts and talents, and my mentor Eric Lawful has really helped me nail down this area of my life, is it's always been one of my gifts. Being able to sit down with an individual, get rid of all the chaff and all the weeds, and help them laser focus on any area they want to focus on for growth. And one of the most enjoyable aspects of what I do is coaching other business owners and helping them make money and getting them profitable quickly and helping them sustain that profit. So every single member of the group is going to get one-on-one time with me, and I'm not even going to put a cap on it. Because as a business owner, right, I don't want you having to wait for a coaching call to make decisions. We have to make decisions quickly sometimes, and we need the help to get there. And so you're going to get one-on-one coaching. Sure, we'll have scheduled sessions, but the most important thing is to help you get your business profitable and help it be sustainable. Next is in our trainings, we're going to bring in experts. Bring in a tax guy that does nothing but focus on tax. You know, one of my mentors, 30 years in tax, his number one focus in life is tax strategy. He's one of the best tax guys I know. We're going to bring in experts like that in accounting and infrastructure and sales and management, human resources, operational stuff, any area that we need as a team in order to solidify our businesses and make them stronger and more profitable. Finally, and most importantly, is every single quarter we will get together either in person or on a webinar. My preference would be in person, where we can mastermind our businesses for 1 or 2 days, where we expose financials, where we help each other strategize on our businesses, where we pull back the Band-Aids there, right? And we're vulnerable and we're real and we're transparent, because guess what? That's how I went from 0 to 350,000 the first year, from that to 685, from that to $1,037,000. It wasn't keeping it all to myself. It was getting the help that I needed. And I'm excited because I'm doing it again, and I want you to be a part of this exclusive club. What are you going to learn? Well, let's talk about mission and vision. Okay? We need to make sure that you have a mission statement, that you have a vision statement, that you understand what that means. It's got to be something that's exciting for you. And if it's exciting for you, then you'll work in your business. And a really good mission and vision statement helps a lot of people in the process. We're going to make sure that we have that down. Number 2 is how to build your business profitably. See, it's one thing to create top-line revenue and create sales. It's another thing to keep the money. You know, you can make as much money as you can in the front door, and you can have it all going out the back door. We're going to talk about strategies on how to prevent that from happening and putting more money back in your pocket. Next is how to build a winning team. Because let's face it, we're not going to build a huge company without employees. And so we're going to talk about, okay, when to hire the right time. When is the right time to hire? Who's the employee I should hire? If they're not performing, how do I change that around, or do I just fire them? I had one of my clients come to me today going, hey, you know what, I don't know what to do. You know, I've had this guy for 2 years. What do I do? And after talking to him, my first inkling is always, hey, what can I do to better the employee, help him keep him? It costs a lot of money to overturn an employee. But it became very apparent because of what this employee did that employee had to be fired. And I see too many business owners belaboring the inevitable, and it costs a lot of money to do that. And it all comes down to hiring the right person in the first place and understanding that it's the best strategy is to hire slowly and fire quickly. Make sure that you have the right people on the bus, and we're going to be talking about how to do that in our mastermind group. Next is we're going to talk about creating reoccurring revenue. Too many business owners out there. There's too many of us that have revenue that's not reoccurring. Every month, a lot of business owners start at 0. And there's no reason for it. There are systems in place that we can build around whatever business you have to where there's reoccurring revenue that can occur. to where when the first of the month starts, your payroll is already covered. How would you like to have that? I mean, let's be honest. One of the most stressful things as a business owner is, am I going to be able to cover payroll? And so not having to worry about that. One of my goals when I first joined a mastermind group was to get my reoccurring revenue to where it covered my expenses. And we were able to accomplish that very quickly, and we always maintained that. So we're going to talk about how to generate reoccurring revenue that not only covers your expenses, but covers your fun time as well. Next, we're going to talk about creating residual revenues. And there's a big misunderstanding of reoccurring versus residual. Reoccurring revenue, you still have to do the work. If you stop doing the work, the reoccurring revenue stops. But you can set it up to where it's based on contracts, not on agreements, or not on word of mouth, and you can actually sell reoccurring revenue. Residual revenue is doing the work once and getting paid for it over and 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 over again. Now we're going to talk about how to build both into your business. Lastly, and most importantly, is help you create a successful exit strategy. Whether you want to retire, whether you want to sell the business, or whether you want to just take time off and have the business pay for your lifestyle. Every business owner needs to have an exit strategy. And there's too many business owners I run across that don't have this in place, and they're slaves to their business. They might as well just go get a job because they own their own job is really what it comes down to. There is no clear exit strategy. There is no time off. It requires their presence. And in our mastermind group, we're going to be focusing on creating successful exit strategies and recurring revenue that allows us as business owners to not only have revenue, but have time. And so if you register today, I'm going to give you a couple of bonuses. Number one is I'm going to give you Eric Lawful International's Silver Protege program, which is one of the finest sales training programs on how to develop sales process. And the reason I'm giving that away is because number two bonus is I'm going to customize and design a sales system for your business. If you sign up today, I normally charge a minimum of $2,500 to do this. But because you're going to be a part of my mastermind group, I'm going to develop customized sales processes for your business. I'm going to develop and write the scripts for your business. I'm going to create a sales system that creates revenue ongoing long-term. The faster you can get in the black and being profitable, this mastermind group isn't going to cost you money, it's going to make you money. Now, if you have any reservations at all, there's a 30-day guarantee in place. And that guarantee goes like this. If in the first 30 days you don't feel it's for you, you're only responsible for month number one. And you get to keep the Silver Protege, and you get to keep the sales system that I'm going to develop for you within the first 30 days. After the 30 days, it's a minimum of 6 months agreement, okay? Because we need you to be a part of this group. This is going to be an exclusive group. And so the irresistible offer I have in place is instead of $6,000, okay, if you pay in full today, you can get it for $3,000, which is 50% off. Or you can do $600 down and $600 a month for 5 months if you sign up today. And that's the irresistible offer. If you register in the next 30 minutes, not only are you going to get the silver program, but I'm going to give you the gold program, which is sales scripting. How to master the art of sales scripting. So that way, once I finish writing your processes and your scripts, you know how to do it and tweak it yourself from that point forward. I'm also going to give you Eric Lofholm's time management CDs. And I'm going to give you his goal setting CDs because goal setting and time management is huge as a business owner. And so to recap, 3 grand. Pay in full today, 600 down, 600 bucks, 5 months. If you do it in the next 30 minutes, you get these bonuses. How do you register? Well, if you're on the live call, you got 30 minutes to get the other bonuses. If you're watching the recording, I'm going to do this on the honor system. So maybe if you're watching the recording, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can call the 916-765-2596. That's my personal cell phone number. Or you can email me. And there's my email address, jpyron@johnpyron.com. And you're going to join an exclusive group that's going to help your business grow beyond your wildest dreams. So in closing, I got to tell you this. Whether you sign up today or not, you pay either way. The investment today is 3 grand. But there's a cost for not having this information and not being a part of this group. And that could be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in missed revenue opportunities, and could also possibly cost you your business.